Hello friends and welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at 4 different utilities in TypeScript that I think once you get used to, you will not be able to live without. I know they have been major upgrades for me and my workflow, so hopefully you feel the same way afterwards if you haven't stumbled across them before. And if you like this type of content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's jump into the video and start transforming your TypeScript game. Let's just jump straight into the utilities in this video because there is quite a few to get through and I want to make this as action-packed as possible. The first utility we're going to have a quick look at is the partial utility. And the partial utility marks all of the given types properties as optional. Now, that might not make a lot of sense with me just saying it, but once you see it in action, you'll see just how useful and simple it is to use as well. These utilities all create a new type. So let's create a new type called partial user here, since we're going to make a partial user. And how this works is we pass partial a type, and we pass that by using those little symbols here. And there we have it. As simple as that, we have a new type from our existing user type up here. So as you can see, all of our properties up here are mandatory in our user interface, but in our new type of partial user, you'll notice that now all of the properties are optional. This can be super useful when you are trying to update a property on an API or something like that, and you don't actually need all of the required items anymore. And rather than just typing a second type, now just use this utility and you have marked all of those properties as optional. The next utility that we're going to look at is the pick utility. And pick, as the name suggests, lets us pick certain properties from our types. Let's create a new type here called pick user. And we are going to start picking some values for this type. So let's use our pick utility. And this takes 2 arguments, the type that we're picking from, and then we have the keys of which we want to pick. So let's say we want the ID, and we'll pick another one option here as well. So we will also say email. Oh, and if I have to wrap that in a string, as you can see as well. And now we have a new type. This new type has only the selected properties that we have picked here. I've found this particularly useful when I have nested objects and I want to pick out those types and use them for something separate in my applications. But this is really powerful. It lets us get more bang for our buck from our existing types. The next utility we are going to look at is omit. And omit is the opposite of pick. It lets us omit values from a type, which is really nice because maybe you have a really large interface and you don't want to have to just pick certain properties. So it would be easier to just omit some properties from it. Let's get that working right now by creating our new type. And I'm sure you could guess the naming by now. We're calling this omit user. And that is going to be equal to our omit type. And it again will take our user, and then we are going to omit some keys. Now, if you're paying attention, you can probably guess what this will do. This is going to omit the ID and the email property from our user interface. So let's hover over here so we can see our new type in action. So now we have a type with name and age because we have omitted the other 2 values from our user. So again, this comes in really handy when you have much larger objects and it's more efficient to omit than pick. Both pick and omit go hand in hand, and you should be able to figure out which one is appropriate to use depending on the size of the properties you need to pick or omit. The last utility we are going to cover in this video is the required utility type. And I should have probably included this after the partial in the video, but I just realized after going through omit and pick that I didn't cover partial's handy opposite or similar to omit and pick, the counterpart to the partial rule. And if you can notice here, I've updated the user interface to have all optional properties, and our required utility will make all of these properties mandatory. Let's create our new type here and we'll call it required user, and that is going to be equal to the required utility. Oh, and I did a typo there. That could have been fun. And that is now it done. So let's take a look. So all of our properties for our user interface are optional. Now, if we hover over the required user, we'll see all of the properties are now mandatory. So nothing optional about it. Again, a great counterpart to know to partial. So if you need to make your types required, that you can reach out and use required, and again, get more bang for your buck. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, let us know below, or let us know your favorite TypeScript utilities. Maybe you'll teach me something in the comments below as well. And if you want to join our free coding community, please visit kodu.co, codu.co, and if you sign up there, you can get a free invite to our coding community. I hope I see you there, and until the next one, happy coding.